My parents own a multi-million-dollar waste management company, and I've been working as the lowest guy on the crew without telling anyone who I am. I'm 22 and just graduated from college a few months ago. While my classmates were polishing resumes and stressing over interviews, my parents sat me down and made it clear I wouldn't be job hunting. I'd be working for them. They run a massive waste management company. Citywide contracts, a fleet of trucks, recycling centers, the whole deal. It's their legacy, and they want me to take over someday. But they also made it clear that I wouldn't be jumping into some cushy office role with a fancy title. If I was going to lead the company, I had to understand it from the ground up. Fair enough. I actually respected that. So I started at the very bottom. One day I was on a truck hauling trash bins in the rain. The next, I was elbow deep in recyclables at the sorting center. I never told anyone who I was. I wore the same uniform, followed the same schedule, and showed up like every other new guy. I wanted real experience. No special treatment, no shortcuts. At first, it was fine, humbling even. I started to respect the people who do this every day in ways I couldn't before. They're tough, they work hard. But after a while, the vibe started to shift. I was doing more and more of the grunt work while others kicked back. I was told to straighten out the bins, clean up after others, and do the new guy stuff constantly. I didn't complain. I kept my head down. I figured it was part of paying dues. But then came the day that broke me. It was raining hard, and we were already short-staffed. I barely slept the night before, showed up exhausted, and got drenched within the first hour. My clothes were soaked. I was cold and running on fumes. Still, I pushed through most of the shift until one of the senior guys, Ron, decided he was done. He dumped the rest of his tasks on me and said, "You're the new guy, you handle it. I gotta leave early." I snapped. Politely but firmly, I told him no. I wasn't doing his work. I was done letting people pile on just because they outranked me. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Then, with a smirk, he said, "Careful. Management might not like it if I start talking about your attitude." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Then let's go to management right now." He blinked, didn't say another word, just walked off. That was the first time I've ever stood up for myself like that at work. I didn't play the "I'm the owner's son" card. I still haven't. But I'm starting to realize that being the boss's kid doesn't mean I have to accept being walked over to prove I'm humble. I'm here to learn, not to be everyone's personal doormat.
I thought my neighbor was rude, but then I found this in my mailbox. So, I have this neighbor, Dave. He's one of those people who's always grumbling about something. If it's not the lawnmower noise, it's the kids running around or the weather being too hot or too cold. He's also known for calling people out if their trash cans are a few inches over the property line or if they park too close to the curb. I've never had an issue with him directly, but I'll admit I've always found him a bit difficult. He's that guy who'll stand on his porch and stare at you like you're doing something wrong, even when you're just checking your mail. Anyway, last week I got home from work and checked my mailbox. I had a few letters, mostly bills and junk mail, but one envelope caught my eye. It was from Dave. My first thought was, what now? Is he complaining about my dog barking? But when I opened it, I was honestly surprised. Inside, there was a simple note that read, "I've noticed your car's brake light has been out for a few days. Just wanted to let you know before it becomes a bigger issue. Dave." There was no scolding, no attitude, just a genuine attempt to help. I had no idea how long the brake light had been out, but sure enough, I checked it later, and it was dead. I immediately went over to his house to thank him. When I knocked on his door, he just shrugged and said, "I figured you'd appreciate the heads up. Doesn't make sense to have someone driving around with that not working." It hit me how wrong I'd been about him. Maybe he's not the grumpy guy I thought he was. Maybe he's just a little more straightforward than others, but still cares about the community. Moral of the story, don't judge a book by its grumpy cover.
I'm about 98% sure my neighbors are involved in something shady. They have different cars there every single day with people coming and going constantly. And honestly, many of them look a bit suspicious. But here's the thing, they're genuinely kind. Having car trouble? They fixed my car multiple times. Had an emergency while traveling and couldn't feed my dog? They took care of it without hesitation. Told them I couldn't find anyone to mow my lawn? They've been mowing it for 2 years straight and never asked for anything in return. Although the guy loves beer, so I buy him a six-pack every now and then. Once, my ex-girlfriend and I had a fight, and when she was outside crying, they even came out to comfort her and helped calm her down. I'm moving at the end of this month, and honestly, I'm really sad to lose my kind, if slightly mysterious, neighbors.
My neighbor was honestly a terrible person. He'd wait until others shoveled their cars out after a snowstorm, then move his truck into their freshly cleared spot. He'd throw loud parties and toss his trash into my backyard afterward. He'd park a large box truck in front of people's driveways and pretend it wasn't his until the tow truck showed up. Any mail that accidentally got delivered to him? Straight into the trash. And once, during a hurricane, he refused to pick up his mother from work, making her take the bus and walk home through the storm while he sat on the porch watching her. He was the reason I installed security cameras around my house. Then, one morning around 4 a.m., everything changed. I was getting ready for work when I heard an explosion outside. I checked my cameras and saw 2 armored vehicles and a SWAT team breaking down his door. The explosion was apparently a flashbang. At first, we all assumed it was related to illegal substances, but no. It turned out to be about ammunition. Apparently, while buying multiple weapons isn't unusual, purchasing large quantities of ammo can get you placed on a watch list. He also wasn't a responsible gun owner. He kept his weapons in a shed secured only with a cheap padlock, and they had been stolen several times. The nerve of him. He even asked me once if I could point one of my security cameras at his shed.
My neighbor is a 70-year-old man, and he's definitely grumpy. He has issues with many things and will tell you all about them. He guards his neighbor's always vacant driveway and will knock on your door to make you move your car if you're parked too close to it. He loves to remind you how expensive everything has gotten because, as he says, at my age, you really notice these things. But he has the warmest heart you could ever know. He was a teen father, and when his daughter eventually became ill and was in and out of the hospital, his wife left him. He dutifully and gladly took care of his daughter himself until she passed away. He gives food, clothes, blankets, and anything else useful to the local homeless community. He once raised a baby squirrel that fell out of its nest when a tree was cut down. That squirrel now lives in a bedroom of his own, with a handcrafted tunnel system that allows him to venture outside. I don't drive, and he'll take me wherever I need to go, always refusing any payment. I just have to listen to his stories and tag along on whatever errands he needs to run. When I broke my leg, he helped carry me into the car so I could be driven to the hospital. He's truly one of my favorite people. I feel honored to know him.
My boss said I had to work late, so I forwarded his emails to HR. If you only read the title, I might seem like a petty employee, but trust me, this was long overdue. I've worked at my company for 2 years. My boss, Mike, had a habit of dumping extra work on me at the last minute, always after hours, always urgent. At first, I thought it was normal, but then I noticed a pattern. My coworkers never got these late-night emails. Just me. One night, he told me I had to stay late to finish a report he conveniently forgot to assign earlier. I had plans. I pushed back. He got weirdly aggressive, hinting that my dedication would affect my future here. That's when I started digging. I searched my inbox and found months of these urgent emails. Most weren't even necessary. Some even contradicted deadlines he had given others. Then I remembered something. HR had mentioned during onboarding that all emails were backed up on the company server. So I did what any overworked employee would do. I forwarded everything to HR with a polite inquiry. Hey, I just wanted some clarification. I seem to be receiving significantly more after-hours requests than my peers. Is this standard practice? I didn't hear anything for a week. Then, out of nowhere, Mike called me into his office. He looked pale. HR had flagged the pattern, compared workloads, and found a lot more than just unfair treatment. Turns out, Mike had been diverting work from his own responsibilities onto me while claiming credit for my results. A week later, an all-company email announced that Mike was moving on to new opportunities. I left at 5 p.m. sharp that day.
I bet you've got a story like this too. Share it below.